What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Season Gaming Bitcast episode 351. It is another fine Sunday, and the Bitcast guys are here to talk about a load of games and previews and other things that have happened over the course of a very busy week. But yes, it is a good morning Sunday, and we have Mr. Hoaglaw and Mr. Ty Guy with us. Hoag, how are we feeling this Sunday, my friend?
I am feeling okay. You know, my Michigan Wolverines won yesterday. We have a brand new...
Oh, it was college game day, yes.
We have a brand new true freshman. You never know how that's going to go. There will be ups and downs, but yesterday was an up. It's very exciting to see. Michigan, if you don't know, had, as the TV reminded me yesterday, the worst pass offense in college football outside of the military academies last year. So getting a five-star quarterback in is a big difference for my guys. So very exciting. Okay. That leaves me in a good mood. Had some physical issues, which might have been related to my food intake during the college football day. And that's left me feeling very excited about sitting down for multiple hours here with y'all, but we'll be okay.
Good to hear about Michigan. Yes, a lot of my friends who are big college football fans and people that work with me as well. Big day yesterday. So good. Glad they won. Hope they do well. Ty Guy, good morning. I think I said to you several hours ago, but here we are yet again to do another show.
I had the same week as Hoag. Loved watching the Wolverines game. Shit my pants in front of my family. Great week. Anyway, I'm here to talk games. Let's go, baby.
That's not what I said, I don't think.
I don't know. I read between the lines, Hoag.
That was the tweet version of what Hoag said. He got it.
No, I had a good week. Obviously, I'm working on a review, and I'm deep in it, hard in the paint, and probably will be writing tomorrow. So. Yeah, good times, guys. We'll talk about it next week, I think.
Yeah.
Wish they might not talk about it next week.
I don't think it's next week either.
I need to read the embargo information.
Anyway. But yes, busy week for games. So obviously we're going to jump into it here. Before we get fully started today, we want to address one thing, which is to put it lightly, or to put it honestly, I should say, or transparently to everyone and all of our audience here. 3-hour shows wear on us a little bit. They are Sunday morning. Obviously, the three of us do other forms of content usually, or try to at least, and are quite busy with a lot of other things going on. And organizing and structuring and planning, and then obviously post a 3-hour show is tough on us a lot of Sundays. So we kind of got together, the three of us, and we kind of talked through, okay, how do we still kind of cover the games industry and what's going on in gaming the way we like to do it here, which I think our audience appreciates, of course. And so we're going to streamline this a little bit. Similar format, but we're really going to be talking about the big things you guys really enjoy, previews of upcoming games, coverage that you can't really find anywhere else, or major topics that we cover in a unique way. But it's just going to be a little more streamlined. So less maybe 30-minute tangents on food, or, you know, those types of things that kind of get us off the rails out in left field. We'll still have our left field moments, of course.
So we make no guarantees on that.
Yeah, they're still going to be fun, of course. But just in general, bringing the show back down to what we would call a reasonable podcast time, which would probably be in the 90-minute range. So that's what we're going to be looking at. Just wanted to, of course, you know, everyone who hangs out with us here is usually so generous and so nice that I wanted to address it. So we're being open and honest and upfront about it, and that's what we're getting into today. Guys?
Yes, I am very
Travis is laughing, so he has a joke to make.
I do, yeah. No,
it's definitely about the length of time that we old men can go. That's Travis's wheelhouse.
No, it wasn't that. It was Ains saying we're gonna stick away from the tangents, and then me thinking 2 minutes earlier. Anyway, guys, I shit my pants this week. Let's go.
As I've told these guys, they have to help me a little bit here too.
Exactly. We do. Yes, and Ains is very generous on this. I will be transparent as well. My contact point with Ains after the show last week was, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Because they're just knocking me out for too long. And he is a very generous host and a great person. And I'm always happy to say that about folks I work with on YouTube and in content creation, because I think there is this notion that we turn the cameras off and everybody turns into a raging asshole. And I can tell you that notion is not entirely without merit with some of my interactions with folks, but those are not interactions
That's
with
fair.
Ains and Travis.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. Sadly, that is true for a portion of the community, which we won't speak about because that's a tangent. But no, honestly, the three of us love doing this. We have a great time, and we're gonna adjust as we need to continue doing it as much as we can. For now, we'll get to it. So we're still gonna work through our intro here, so we'll just cruise on through. Want to give our shout outs, so let's get to them. Vintage Willow. Already thanked her in the chat, but thank you as always, our generous contributor here at SG who gives 5 season gaming memberships. Some of our regulars got memberships. So thank you so much as always, Willow. I say it every week or most weeks. Very, very appreciative of that. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Googleman81, 10 euro super chat. Last entertainment media that made you cry, if any. The Artful Escape for me. Happy tears before that. The Haunting of Hill House. Sad. Oreos. It's a lot. There's exactly these types of comments that make the shows go on 3 hours.
Cry.
I don't cry a lot.
Yeah, I'm with Hogan. Hogan and I have talked about this, but I'm not really a crier.
But I do have 2 instances that I can mention here. I definitely teared up at the end of the original Death Stranding. During the BB Lullaby section. Now, it was like 3 a.m, and I had pressed myself too long because you can just never expect a 5-hour Kojima cutscene. You just never know when they're going to hit. And so it was super early. Yeah. I was completely out of energy, but I still think it's an affecting ending. I haven't gone back to it since. That's one reason. That's one area I can remember tearing up in. And then I almost always tear up at the end of Creed, the boxing movie. So there you go.
It is a good movie. I don't remember the end.
I don't know why I don't remember enough about it to know if it's cry worthy. But I actually just found my answer, and you guys are gonna really hate me for telling this story. But I was on the plane and I watched the movie Napoleon. Have you guys seen this movie?
I haven't.
I've
heard it's historically really poor.
It is not a good movie. It is really, really, really bad. It's like who's that actor? Joaquin Phoenix? Is that who he is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Joaquin Phoenix, like doing this like really like gross, maybe historically accurate version of Napoleon Bonaparte. But anyway, the movie is like not the movie to watch on the plane. It is a absolutely horrid movie because it's got all like these weird sexual scenes where like he's like thrusting feudally into this wife that's like not into him and is just like lying like super bored. Anyway, I was watching on the plane between 2 old women and they were looking over at my screen anytime there was something absolutely horrible happening on screen, and then going like this, like what is wrong with this guy? And then I started thinking about on the flight, what if I booked like a 6-hour flight and got on and I immediately went to that clip in the video and I just replayed it for like 6 hours on the flight and just stared at it without any like expression on my face, like only replayed like the really awkward sex scene for like 45 seconds. And I started crying, laughing on the flight because it was so funny to me. That's the last movie that made me cry. Napoleon, because it was so funny to me. There's my answer.
I don't think this is the tears we were going for, but there you go.
It's not the tears we're going for, but it's really the only emotional.
Well, they're Travis's versions of happy tears.
Yeah, exactly. It works. I laughed so hard, and then I asked my wife if I would get kicked off the plane if I did that, and then we had a really long debate about if you would get kicked off, be asked to like stop if you were just replaying that clip over and over again on the plane without any just for like 6 hours on the plane.
Just lean forward into it. Yeah.
In which Travis invents movie trolling on international airplane flights.
I mean, it's one of the movies they provided.
Yeah.
And so like,
I get that.
Could I get kicked off for just replaying that horrible scene? I think you could. I think they would tell you to stop. Dee disagreed. She thought that the stewardesses would just ignore me. And I was like, that's crazy. There's no way. What if there was a kid sitting behind me and he's just watching me do this? Anyway, we got into a big debate about it. And that made me cry.
I think you could get kicked off. Yes.
I think you're right. I think they would ask me to stop. Yeah. Okay. I'm glad you guys agree with me on this. I'm glad I shared the story.
I would point out those are 2 different statements that you made with respect to you and your wife. I think you absolutely could get kicked off. Would you is a different question.
I think they would just, my point was, I think they would ask me to stop. And she said that she thought nobody would comment. And I was like, really? That's crazy.
Depends on the type of person. Some people would just look the other way. Other people would be like, "Hey, there's a problem here."
Yeah,
airplanes are weird little
playing that scene. Yeah,
fiefdoms. So
yeah, they are. And I also think it's luck of the draw. There might be like you get on a plane where
Exactly.
everybody's heads down, and there might be one where there's like lots of families, and they would be like, "Can you please stop replaying that scene over and over again?" Like, it's provided in flight. What's the problem?
that's the one where you have the toddler on the seat behind you that is watching over your shoulder.
Yeah,
Your mom's
He's
like,
learning a ton about the world we live in.
I don't think I have an example. I will say, for whatever reason, I don't know if I'm getting older. I don't know if obviously it's the stuff I've gone through with my family, but I do get more emotional at certain things now that I didn't used to. I used to be very flat in that sense. That has changed, but I can't think of a specific example or game where that has, or movie where that's happened recently. I don't think.
I'm 100% more emotional post-stroke. Now, my doctor said that that's a normal stroke reaction. I think they're just joking with me to make me feel better about my situation. But that there's no question that I react to things more. But I will point out, very much post-stroke, I did not tear up one bit at Expedition 33. So I know that people already feel like I am a robot on that game, but I will add to that evidence pile.
Topic. I'm just kidding.
That's
good. I don't think we can spend 30 minutes on why I didn't cry at something.
I could.
Yeah, you could, but we're not
going
to.
Tell me about your childhood.
So, Oreos are overrated. There. I just had to get that out at the end of that.
Depends. You guys like a dark chocolate dipped Oreo?
It's better.
You can mess
I
with
don't know
it.
that I've ever had one.
Yeah, they're better than the normal.
I'll send you some so you can.
It does make me want a chocolate pretzel, if that means anything.
Those are
I would have a Foodcast tangent.
Pretzel.
Remember, Ains started the show by saying no tangents.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm trying. I've got the button on the next comment.
All right, let's go. Next comment.
Yeah, you need a no tangents clip like the bloat goat. Just cut us off.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Start playing music. Christy Fletcher, member for 33 months, writes, "Hey everybody, happy new planner season. Open mouth smiley face.
It is start of the school year. Good luck to everybody, students and parents alike."
That is true. Yep. Christy,
who loves a good planner? D. Yeah, she's with you on this one. She owns 1,000 notebooks that she's never written in. It's very cool.
Never written in. Christy, thank you. We got Gamefire in the house.
Gamefire Creator, member for 19 months, writes, 3-hour podcast. Let's go. Lol. Foodcast need to come back. We'll do a whole separate podcast about Foodcast. It'll just be its own show. It's a spinoff. We're spinning off here. Which characters will come with us?
We make this show concise, but have 4 shows going forward.
Oh yeah,
the Frasier of Bitcast.
That's right, the Frasier of Bitcast. Which characters will make a cameo? Come and find out.
Nick Starro.
Nick Starro says, "Hey you."
It's usually heyo.
No. It's hey you. And just like that, and that flaccid tone. That's what I'm going with. That's what you get, Nick. That's what you get here for being a member for 3 months.
That's what you got. That's what 3 months of membership gets you.
That's right. Maybe if you want to sound more macho, let's try to get to 9 months. All right, and maybe I'll give you a better voice.
All right. As always, we got tie picks this week, and I guess based on our theme about remakes and Metal Gear Solid Delta launching, we have.
Oh, do I look like Snake? I'm excited.
GS themed. If I could get the member comment off the screen. Excuse me.
Wait. This is
that's the wrong one.
That's
the wrong one, Ains. What are you doing?
Should we talk about this?
We absolutely should not re-talk.
All right, guys, let's do a retrospective. In retrospect, I actually think my nose isn't big enough. I think they should have gotten bigger. I had some time to think about it. All right, there we go.
Move it on.
Oh, dude, I look sick.
Yeah, Travis. Travis is the winner here.
Yeah,
Travis is the winner.
Wow.
Yeah. No doubt.
Why did they give me this strawberry blonde hair, though? I'm very confused about that, but still, I'll take it. I look cool.
You still have the tie, and you still have ginger, which is accurate. So
that's
good. Why do I look like I'm listening to like an AMR session? Like, what's going on with my face?
Yeah, you're very happy.
Well, let's see. This is a Kojima game, so you probably have some like disorder where you hear voices in your head or whatever, and your headphones are the only reprieve from the torture of your soul.
It looks like the pollen from the flowers gives Zane sexual euphoria, I think.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I
Whoa,
like that.
whoa.
Oh, we're all near the flowers. Is this a thing in Metal Gear that I don't remember?
Yeah, so that's pulled from the boss in Metal Gear 3. So
Oh, got it. Okay, makes sense. I look very cool. Hogue probably gonna betray me at the end of the
I've seen some
act.
stuff.
Yeah, I think you're gonna turn on me for sure. Nice. This is pretty good.
It's pretty
Yeah.
good. Pretty good. I like it. Thank you, Tide. As always, appreciate you.
You guys
All
mess
right.
with the AI at all visually? Because I was messing with the Nano Banana upgrade to Gemini.
I've messed with it
I
in the
don't.
past and not really found like it's really good if you need to do like super quick art for like a tabletop RPG. And you can describe some character and stuff like that if you don't have time to get it commissioned. But I've not found a good use for AI on the visual arts front just because I don't think it's far enough along for the stuff I would like it to do. But it's interesting, that's for sure.
The Gemini stuff that they've added can now manipulate photos in space in a really cool way. So I was actually messing with photos I actually had of people.
Nice.
And that's fun to do.
I made that Will Smith video for him of all those audience members that aren't real. So it was a little project I worked on. Very cool.
Damn
You guys see that? You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah. That's pretty funny. I like
pretty
that.
wild.
I'm gonna start doing that for like concerts for me. It'll be really confusing what type of show I'm doing. They're all like cheering, and some of them have brought props, and you're like, "What is this? Who's this for?" It'd be very cool.
Well, as always, we're going to get into some games here. We got some, finally can talk about a lot of stuff that I couldn't talk about last week. So, but remember, if you enjoy the show, as always, share this out, hit that like, and, support us on both sides of the house. We appreciate it. Guys, I want to talk a little bit about Outer Worlds 2.
Yeah. Please.
The Outer Worlds 2, by the way.
I prefer Outer Worlds, the 2. Yeah.
Yeah, that works too.
I'll tell you, file it in the library.
So was fortunate reach out by Xbox to preview this. It was a short preview, so it's only a very small slice of the game. It is the intro to the game. So as with a lot of RPGs nowadays, you kind of get this intro mission, character creation, go through the intro, and then you get the title screen, right? And then the full game kind of starts. So you could play to the title screen. So maybe about an hour and a half to 2 hours worth of play. But I wanted to comment on, we've talked about Outer Worlds a lot here, and I think that, Hogue, we've joked that it's not really on brand for you, per se. You thought it was okay. It just wasn't your favorite thing in the world. I really liked Outer Worlds, but I think like many people who like that game, you could see it had some shortcomings in both scope, maybe not necessarily size, but just the expanse of the environment. Some of the gunplay and movement was a little janky a bit. There's things like that. So I think they've obviously taken those criticisms to heart. One thing that I didn't realize, which I guess I should have, is that in the message from the producer is they really started working on this directly after Outer Worlds 1 released. And maybe it's just me and not keeping good track of time, but Outer Worlds released in 2019. That seems like way too long ago. So 6 years ago.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So pretty noticeable right away, right out of the gate. There's a jump in fidelity here. Character models and character creation are not only extensive, so you go through not only your look and whatever, which is really, really extensive, but then you have your perks and your your specialization and these other things. And I really enjoy that piece. But the like facial models, because a lot of these games, you're kind of like the Bethesda games as well. You're in the face talking to people and having conversations. So those have been improved. But I think most noticeably, the thing for me that felt really good was really kind of the movement and control of the game. It felt a lot more like a proper first-person shooter, even though it's not really a shooter per se. But it controls and moves and feels really, really solid. And even in the intro mission, you can tell that you get kind of prompts about your own background. So you get unique dialogue choices. There's areas of the level you can go through if you're a certain way that you can't if others. I played through it twice. And I definitely think I saw an article on IGN yesterday that said people are really sleeping on Outer Worlds 2 for being one of the biggest games of the year. And I would, at least from this short preview, granted, I would agree with that. I think this is going to be a better, bigger game than people are maybe thinking it's going to be. And I think you can see the investment from both Obsidian and Xbox as a studio kind of organization umbrella now compared to the first one pretty immediately. So I would be excited. If you're already excited for this, be excited. If you were kind of in the middle on this one. You may want to put an eye on it and just keep check out the preview we have on the channel. I think it's going to be a really, really strong game, and I'm much more excited for it now than I was before the preview.
Yeah, no, that's interesting to me.
Yeah, I can tell
the
you.
The humor is the same. I will say that. Has the same
good. Good. I will say, I just based on like my interactions with like this studio so far, it does seem they're a lot more confident about it than they were about Avowed earlier this year, just in terms of like how much they're marketing it, how much of the game they're showing before it's out, how much they're like sharing details on it. So that to me is a good sign. They did a very similar thing with Outer Worlds 1 back in the days where we were physically going to E3. Like their showcasings were really open, and they talked plainly about, how it's a small size of the game and how they built it on a shoestring budget and all that stuff. And so I'm liking the confidence from this one. Hopeful it'll be good.
Feels like the game they wanted to make with the first one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm all for sequel leaps. I've said that before. I think honestly, the humor in this game series is going to prevent me from engaging with it. I don't like the humor in the first game. I don't like the humor in the expansions. I don't like what they've shown in the trailers so far. So we'll see. I do know that when Jeff Keighley prompted a statement about what the game of the year was going to be on Twitter, I put my current 5 top games, and I got a lot of pushback that I was neglecting the Outer Worlds 2. Now, outside of that game not being out yet, and obviously not having played it myself, that's just the social media landscape. That's fine. But I would be surprised if it winds up in that conversation, just looking from the outside in.
I kind of would too, to be honest with you.
Me too.
I think it'll be tough to beat Expedition 33 and...
Yeah, I mean, regardless of whether we agree with it or not, I think Expedition 33 is the front runner. I'm a KCD2 guy. Some people.
I was going to say Expedition 33 is kind of a different ball of wax. I agree that it's going to have a lot of push, but I guess I don't see Outer Worlds 2 clearing in terms of first-person immersive RPG Kingdom Come Deliverance for me. That would be unlikely.
I think it'll be unlikely in general, but it comes out at the right time of the year, Hogue. People forget about games at the beginning of the year. It's a very weird thing.
Kingdom Come is ages ago, right? Yeah. Did that even release this year? Who knows?
Games that come out in December? Oh my God. Imagine.
Yeah, another party asked me if Indiana Jones was going to be up for it. I was like, no.
They're going to forget that ever existed. Trust me.
Troy Baker will probably be nominated for performance, but Indiana Jones, I know it's technically after the cutoff date for last year's Game of the Year, but that's not how this works, folks.
Nope.
Yeah. Well, not for every outlet. IGN considered Indiana Jones last year, and I think it won some. They got at least nominated for some category, but we also do our Game of the Year like at the proper end of the year.
Right. No. Yes. Yeah. And people are only talking about the Keighleys on this topic.
Yes.
That's not what I.
Yeah.
I meant. Yeah.
Did you guys either of you try Luminous Arise with the Shadow Drop demo they did?
Yep. Got my iguanas.
Yeah.
Knocking out their tongues in time with the music. Luminous.
Yeah.
Don't miss it, folks.
It's excellent. Seriously, this is the demo
that puzzle game from the ages ago.
Yeah.
That they're bringing back, but it's the developer of
Tetris Effect
Connected.
Mm-hmm.
So it's and it's going to be in VR as well. This was one of my games of show at Summer Game Fest, and the demo that's out now is what I played at Summer Game Fest. And so I played it again from home, and it's just so good. If you haven't checked out that demo, please do. It's just, if you like that type of game, it's very different from Tetris Effect Connected from a gameplay perspective. It's got some unique things it does from the board and the blast and all that, but it's just so good. I don't know what else to say about it. It's
the same basic idea of Tetris Effect, of this kind of growing musical accompaniment to your puzzle gaming. Luminous has the advantage over Tetris of already having that musical notion of when you clear blocks, there was already a kind of sound component that went into that puzzle. So this is a perfect marriage of these two things. When I was playing Tetris Effect for the first time a few years ago, one of the things I had thought in my head was this would be great with Luminous, but there's no reason to believe that this team is going to get a crack at Luminous. So this is a perfect match. And the demo says this is a perfect match. So if you're at all excited about this, continue to be excited. Play the demo. It's available to you, even though the PlayStation interface is very bad at showing you when a game has a demo. Luminous Arise has a demo right now that you can play. It's 3 levels of the single player. I will say their multiplayer component, at least here in the beta, the demo, does not appear to be connecting very well. Don't know whether that'll get fixed or not, but I'm generally not going to Puzzle Land for multiplayer shenanigans anyway.
No, me neither. I'm actually most looking forward to it in VR. So it will support VR at launch, and I can only imagine, like Tetris Effect Connected, playing this in VR is going to be mind-boggling. So very excited about that. Lost Soul-Aside I wanted to bring up. So
okay.
I wanted to bring choices. It up. I haven't played it. Obviously, it's made a lot of headway, I guess, in the social space for probably the wrong reasons this week. But Hogue, I saw you posting about it, or someone, I think it was maybe Alex linked to me that posted about it.
Yes, randomly Twitter picks up my stuff now and just like broadcasts it to way outside my field, which is just great. Thanks, Elon. But yes, I said Lost Soul-Aside is to action Final Fantasy as Mind's Eye is to Grand Theft Auto. And I mean this for very specific reasons, but it's a tweet. And so people ascribe all these various motivations to a tweet like that, which I know, right? I know how to play the game on this side of things, folks, but it has the same amount of hollowness to me. I'm not talking about technical bona fides here. It is a game that I played and immediately thought I should be doing something better, maybe with my life, but certainly with my time. And that's the same kind of feeling I had with Mind's Eye. It's like, why am I playing this hollow echo of something better when I could be playing this something better? There's too much stuff to enjoy. There's too much media to take in. There's too little time in life. And Lost Soul-Aside is a very, very weak epic RPG. It is closer to a decent to good Devil May Cry, but it doesn't know that, seemingly, in the way it's designed. It thinks it's a Final Fantasy game. And Final Fantasy already in the action landscape, 15 and 16 in particular, has dumped most of its kind of deep characterization and plotting. This goes another step lower than that, puts it through like Google Translate to get you just ridiculous voice acting and translations of what I believe was a Chinese script. And it is just god-awful storytelling. Just god-awful. Like PlayStation 2 level, but the bad ones. Like the actual dregs of the PlayStation 2 time period of storytelling. Here, brought to life in PlayStation 5 land. It is aesthetically pleasing in certain parts, in screenshot form. Its animations aren't all connected. It's really a combat game, which is not why I go to game. Just hitting buttons and shiny bits flying off my magic dragon to hit crabs on the beach for no particular reason because the story is, as aforementioned, god-awful, is not why I game, right? And some people are online on social media saying this is actually fun and this is good. It's a combat game. I can't really fight them too hard on that point. It is perfectly adequate from my perspective, but I'm also not judging like the parry windows and the invincibility timers and like these various things that people get knee deep into the weeds on and say, this is really good. It's very fluid, all these various things. So if you just want to use your giant magic sword and dragon that floats around you in annoying ways in cutscenes to fight crab men from beyond the stars, this might be exactly what you want out of a video game. It's not what I want out of a video game. And it doesn't know that it's telling a god-awful story. So it treats it po-faced. It makes you sit through long conversation bits that don't make any sense, that have weird translations all over the place, and performed by people that appear to be on Valium the entire time. So I would avoid this like the plague, but I'm not you. So if you had a different experience, let us know in chat or the comments. I'm not here to tell you how to feel about these things. I'm just expressing my experience with this game. I regret having learned of its existence. I certainly regret having spent money on it. And I had more fun so far with Mind's Eye. Take that how you will.
All right. All I heard was fighting over crabs. That's what I heard.
That's right. Yeah, there's a lot of crabs. Crab Champions. You guys ever play
that? No. All right. Well, that's Lost Soul-Aside. So we'll put that aside. No pun intended.
Lost Soul-Aside, my relationship with this game is that I was supposed to be the point guy in this game. I was going to do a bunch of coverage for it. I had an appointment booked to go down to the Sony offices here in Northern California. And those plans were canceled abruptly by PlayStation. And then the game never received any coverage beyond that. And
Yeah,
then
they hit it from all reviews, didn't they? I
Which
think that's
is
one of the reasons my tweet went viral was I was the only person talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, we basically forgot about it. At least I personally did, and that's why a couple weeks ago on this show I said I thought the game was canceled or it was delayed because it was in effect
If only.
delayed. It was delayed for the media team. So the fact that they did not delay the game with all of those signs is quite troubling, and perhaps Sony knew that they had a stinker on their hands, which happens to every studio. But yeah,
well, the funny part about that, right, is because it's published by Sony, you do have the Defense Force out there already, and it's interesting because that Defense Force will align for whatever exclusive comes out of any of these houses, right? They will defend the worst Nintendo game, they will defend the worst Xbox game, they will defend the worst PlayStation game. Presumably not the same people, unless they are absolutely just psychotic on the inside. But these groups will defend these things and will come at me saying, well, you're expecting too much out of this game. It's like, well, no, it's a full priced game. I spent money on it. You say, well, it was one guy's dream for 7 years or whatever. It's like, this does not impact my experience with the product at the end of the day. And we're not so far removed from Expedition 33 wowing everybody, even if they were wowed more than I personally was wowed. It's still a great game. Mm-hmm. And they had a small team, and they have all of these other things that are going on with their production. This is a game that was marketed and sold at full price. It's just not there. And I actually haven't seen a product from a first-party publisher come out in this state in quite some time. So, yeah, look, you make mistakes. Wish I had that money back. Oh, well.
I have this debate with people online all the time, but the expectations game and adjusting your perception of how a game is good or not, or worth your money or not, based on various like factors in the background is very funny. And I guess if you adjust your expectations enough, every game is a 10 out of 10. You just have to lower your expectations adequately, and then suddenly it's a whole different beast. But yeah, it's a mind-boggling coping mechanism for me that I do not understand.
Yeah, and I know that there are people online that I do trust to be honest and are not just as part of the Defense Force that are having a certain amount of fun with this. I just think you have to come in with the mindset that you're going to ignore every cutscene. You're not somebody to click through these things, but you are today. You're going to skip them all. You're going to fight the giant crabs with your magic sword, and you're going to press on to the next time when you're going to move boxes in a factory setting and fight monsters from space with your giant sword, and you're going to ignore all of the reasons why this is happening. And if you can get value out of that, the combat system isn't broken. The game isn't destroying itself and lighting your PlayStation on fire. So if you can enjoy those things, great for you. I need some reason to be doing what I'm doing in a video game. And they utterly failed on that regard, and they waste your time failing at it.
Fair enough. I agree with you. I think there's just too many good things out, right?
Yeah,
like,
so many.
Why waste your time on this? It's endless. You don't even have enough time to play the great games. Like, why would you waste time on this? But fair enough. So let's talk about a great game, because I want an update from you, Hogue, before we talk about a couple other things. Monster Train 2.
Yeah, so folks that were with us last week know that Travis was espousing Monster Train 2 as an excellent game. I said that I had bounced off it, which was absolutely true. I looked at the timer on my Switch after our show, because I had said I would play Monster Train 2, and I had said I hadn't played it much. When I talked to Travis last week, and I had played it for, the Switch said, a little over 3 hours. And so I got into it this past week, and it was mostly all that I played outside of things like Lost Soul Aside and Metal Gear Solid Delta. And it really connected. It's a really smart card game system that, when it connects with you, has just almost an infinite amount of depth in the ways that you can build your deck up to fight these fights of the demons from hell and angels in an alliance to fight the titans in heaven. And it is probably my favorite strategy game right now of 2025. And this is one of the reasons I love doing the Bitcast, is that Travis says there's something there, Rick, and I believe him on that. I don't agree with everything he ever says, but when Travis is talking to you and says, no, there actually is something there, you just have to break through, I'll say, all right, if Travis says there is, then there is. And I did it, and there was, and Monster Train 2 is fantastic. I still think the graphics are messy. I still think the music is over the top, although my daughters, who were in the room with me while I was doing this last week, said, those are bangers, Dad. You shut up. So I'm
My
told the
wife
music are
said that
bangers.
too. My wife said that too, and I was like,
They are very
"Remember
loud. They're
Funny?"
very
Yeah.
in your face while you're trying to figure out what card to play. But my daughters absolutely love them. So if you're at all interested in this, it is a roguelike deck builder with essentially multiple battlefields that you are managing in the floors of your train at the same time. And it has all of the cool bits of a roguelike, so you can have difficulty modifiers per battle. You get different artifacts that change your game completely in different runs. And it's different every single time you play with escalating difficulties that I don't even know what the end of this thing must look like. Because I feel like I'm right at the edge of being able to even keep track of what's happening about halfway through the difficulty escalators.
Nice.
And so I will continue to play this for a good long time to come. My Switch now, the timer says over 15 hours. So I've played it a lot this last week. I am looking forward to playing it more. And I thank Travis profusely for making sure that I didn't just say that's a bad one and put it off to the side.
Awesome. Yeah, honestly, I had basically the same experience with you where I played this right when it came out and I was like, okay, it's more Monster Train. I've seen enough. Then I told you about the two twists. Did you get both of them? Because it sounds like you definitely got the first one.
I did not get two twists. I'm
Really?
halfway through the halfway through the Covenant escalator.
So what
Covenant level 5.
Covenant level 5, and then in the okay, all right, yeah,
but yeah, it has story bits. That was the biggest surprise to me. It's like it's organized around like Hades. So you go and you fail, and you go back to base, and they'll have the characters do story interaction. So that adds so much to like the lore of what you're doing. They're not just players on cards. That I absolutely love it. And
how many factions have you unlocked?
I have 4. I don't have the last faction.
Okay. So yeah, you have not reached either twist, Hogue, and you have no idea how much deeper it goes and how much more you are going to be playing this game, because you're right at the
I love
cusp.
to hear it.
I think if you beat Covenant 5, something's about to happen, and it's the first of 2 crazy twists where you're going to be like, what? Yeah, I'm very excited for you. Like, you're gonna have to hit up the Bitcast group chat when that happens, because I'm very excited for it.
What I love about this is that the game itself, the core of the deck builder and the card strategy, is so good that the story and everything else is just icing on the cake, right? Like we talked about, you can come to Lost Soul aside and maybe just get into the combat and ignore everything else. You could ignore everything else that's happening in Monster Train and have just the best card game. And the fact that they added on top of that is just fantastic. Love this thing. Wouldn't have loved it if I wasn't on the Bitcast. Wouldn't have loved it if I didn't know Travis. So I have all the thanks.
Hell yeah. I love when that happens. And I've certainly been influenced by some recommendations you guys have made in the past. So awesome.
I'm very thankful.
Excellent. Yeah, no, that's great. I know that we covered the original Monster Train right at release because it was an unknown at that point. And our reviewer, I think was Steve at the time, he came back when the first one launched and he's like, hey, this is a really, really damn good game.
Yeah, it's good.
And then when 2 came out, yeah, we reviewed that one too. And we were the same as, most people. It's regarded critically very, very high. So, yeah, it's great to hear. I want to touch briefly, and we'll circle back on this in our remake conversation, but Gears Reloaded launched obviously on both Xbox but PlayStation for the first time. I was given a PlayStation 5 code for this a couple weeks ago. When I got home from the UK, I loaded this up and I finished it last week on my PS5 Pro. Gears 1, generally the campaign, pretty short game. It's not a huge time sink. So a few thoughts I just want to touch on with Gears Reloaded. I posted on social media that I appreciate it. It's clearly the best that Gears 1 has ever looked and sounded. It's definitely upgraded in lighting and resolution, and it's got 3D sound now. So if you play in a 7.1 or a 7.1.2, excuse me, kind of set up in speakers and stuff or your headset, you can hear that. But other than that, it's Gears 1. And Gears 1, as great as it was in 2006, and I'm a Gears head through and through, it's dated. It just is. There's no other improvements to this game. It's the same campaign. The AI, I cannot stress enough how bad the AI is in this game. It is atrocious. It is so bad that I had to replay checkpoints several times, if not a dozen times, because they would either break something or not work or get me killed or other things. And I mean both the companion AI, which is atrocious, and the enemy AI is really clueless. So it's a
Man,
mixed
do I
bag
hate
from
companion AI that's broken.
I'll send you some clips that I have saved from playing this. I sent them to a few friends and they were just in tears laughing. It's comical. I had one
So
where,
frustrating.
if you remember the third campaign act, you're in the not the mine, but you're in the ground and you're going towards the big crawler. And there's a long stretch, like a long tunnel you're running down. And I get to the end of it and I tell Dom to group up, because you remember you have those commands you can do and they're very simple, but it's like attack or group up type thing, regroup. And I say regroup. He goes negative, and I'm not joking you. He says negative to me, and then moonwalks backwards all the way to the end of the level where we came from to start, and then just start spinning in circles endlessly.
Wait, was the AI this bad in the original, or did they mess something
I don't
up?
remember it being this bad, but maybe
Wow.
I'm just nostalgia goggles. I don't know, but
'Cause
I know it
only
wasn't
played this
great.
recently. I played Gears of War Ultimate, or the first remake
Ultimate
they did
Edition.
of
Yeah.
this. Yeah, Ultimate Edition with D like a year ago. We played through all the Gears games together, and we had a great time. And
Well, you're
yeah,
playing in
it's
co-op
crazy.
though.
But there's still AI, right? You got 4 squad mates.
There is, but you're mainly it's Dom through most of the game.
Interesting. Okay.
So
I don't know
I
that
had a
I've
question,
ever played
Ains.
Gears of War solo, to be honest.
I had a question. I heard they got rid of the roadie run shake. Is that true? Because that was my favorite
No.
part of the original Gears.
No, they didn't get rid of it. You could turn it off.
Oh,
You could turn it in settings. There's a lot of accessibility.
You could always
settings
turn
to
it
be
off,
updated.
couldn't you?
don't know. Why
I
would you
don't
turn it
remember.
off? It's the best thing about the game.
No, it is cool. It's like dum, dum, dum,
Yeah, where it
dum.
shakes back and
Screen,
forth.
yeah,
So
it's
no,
cool.
it still has that, but it I don't know. As a Gears head, it's a mixed bag. I guess what I posted was I don't know why this exists, and I say that partially knowing why it exists because from what I've been told, it's a UE3 game, the engine, and they had to go back and modernize it to get it both updated on PC and PlayStation so that they can probably now bring the entire series to PlayStation and new platform. Okay,
You would
fine.
think.
But it's like, as a Gears fan who's played this game from day one all the way through endlessly, right, as the series, it's kind of annoying because I've played Gears 1 so much. The multiplayer, in my opinion, is the worst of the multiplayer. Like, it's very basic. It's very old school, which is fine. But it's like, I really wish this was Gears 2 because Gears 2 has never been remastered or remade, and it's a much better game than Gears 1 in a lot of ways, both, I think, campaign and multiplayer. Same with 3. And so anyway, I won't stay on this. We'll talk a little more in the remakes, but it's like, it's fun. It's nostalgia. I'm glad PlayStation only ecosystem players get to check out Gears. If you are playing Gears for the first time, I would say enjoy this, kind of get the gist of the universe, but it gets a lot better. So don't judge the entire series based on Gears 1 is what I would say in 2025. So
Also, we need a new term for AI in games. It's getting confusing. I don't know if you noticed that.
Well, that's
Yeah,
the
that's
fault
fair.
of the tech companies, right? Like that was happening back in 2023 where I was talking about AI in games and people were like, what do you mean? It's like, well, this is what we called enemy behaviors that went
Has,
off of like
Which
decision
makes sense.
trees.
I mean, it is literally like an artificial intelligence of a unit in a game. I get why we use that term, but it is very confusing now. It's starting.
It's antiquated for sure.
Well,
yeah.
it's funny, right? Because Steam has the rule that you have to disclose use of AI. And one of the jokes I made was like, well, they mean the generative AI models, not your use of AI.
If you type AI into most like Steam descriptions, it'll talk about enemy AI at some point, and so there's like this weird.
Well, every strategy game ever has to give the rules of the game to the opponents and give them a way to play against you.
Yep. Yeah, it's weird. We need a new phrase. Need a new term for it. It's getting confusing out there.
But anyway, that's Gears. Played a couple multiplayer matches. It's fine. Again, echoing what Hogue just said, there's so many good things to play right now. The last thing I need to be doing is playing Gears 1 again, a game that I played endlessly 20 years ago.
Xbox gave me a free copy of that game. It was not via me being at IGN. They just sent it to me in messages on Xbox.
Anyone who owned the Ultimate Edition on Xbox got this free.
Got it. Okay, cool. All right. And I downloaded it and I was like, I know I will not play this game. Like, without a doubt, I will not be playing it. So,
I mean, it's nice of them, right? I think that's a good thing, especially from what I heard. The Ultimate Edition, if on PC, is very poorly optimized, whereas this one isn't. This one runs well, so take it for what you will. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. What else you guys got? Talk to me.
I got 8 minutes to just quickly summarize stuff I've been doing. I'm working on a review, so most of my week has been locked out in that, and I will not talk about it for 2 weeks, Ains. But I've been playing other games. I checked out the new Metal Gear Solid remake game, which I probably didn't play enough to form an opinion on. Shinobi, which is really cool. I dumped back into Helldivers 2, literally, because it came out on Xbox recently. I finally played The Alters a substantial amount, which I'm absolutely adoring. Chip and Claws, the Brainioids, which I told you guys I previewed a while ago, finally came out, which, by the way, I did not know it was coming out this month. It just sort of like dropped. And so I've started to play that with D, and it's very cool. And then Triangle Strategy, I started playing because I remember Hogue talking about it, and I was like, I want to finally check this one out. So I played a lot of games in like the 3 days of freedom I had in the early part of this week, and now I'm a prisoner once more, and probably will be until like December. So good times.
Well, I have a couple of big ones. I don't think I have a Hogue's notes other than Monster Train 2, because that's what I played the bulk of my indie time with this week. But I don't see on the rundown, and I don't think anybody's discussed it yet here on this show, Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar came out this week. It is wonderful. If you like a farming game, this is I believe a remaster of a DS game in the Story of Seasons franchise.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it.
But it is a farming game in which, if you play Stardew Valley, if you play farming games in general, you know the basic gist is you take your farming goods, you put them in a magic box, and out of the magic box the next day pops money that is just automatically sold somewhere, and that's all good. In this one, that's not what happens. You collect your farming goods, you have a manufactory that's in your windmill, and then every Saturday you have a bazaar, which is a fancy way of calling a farmer's market in this world. So you have a booth, and you go and you sell your things to people that walk by. You ring your bell at them, and you try to get them to pay attention to the stuff that you're selling. And there are trends per season, and you have upgrades that can happen to your bazaar, and you try to get other townspeople to build their own booths that do their own things. So it's got a whole kind of building the economy component with the farming, and I think it's just wonderful. I'm playing it on the Switch too, and my daughter played it the day it came out, basically all day, which is not how she operates with video games. So it has a lot of that kind of drive to do the next thing and do the next mission, get the next booth built, talk to the next people that she loves so much in Stardew Valley. But I think it's a really good addition to the farming game world, and I highly recommend it to anybody interested in them. I talked about Discounty last week. Discounty is kind of the evil, dark offshoot of farming games, but it is also excellent. So it's been a wonderful boon time for people that just like to farm and otherwise not kill folks in their video game experiences. So I wanted to mention that one. I have played a lot of Metal Gear Solid Delta, and I know that we're going to talk about that as part of our main topic on remakes and remasters, but I've had a great time with it. I love Metal Gear Solid 3. I love it. I love it. I love it. They didn't ruin it. There are certain things in the design that maybe don't work as well as the original did, and we can talk about those. But I highly recommend it if you're at all interested in Metal Gear, or you just don't know what Metal Gear is. It's a great entry point. I had a number of people ask me on social media whether they could just jump in with this one. Absolutely. This is essentially the start of the Metal Gear Solid timeline, and it's the reason that Konami picked this project was so that it was easy to jump into. I think they're going to continue with this like the Resident Evil series on the Capcom side, because this is a big winner to me, and I would absolutely buy this version of Metal Gear Solid 1. I would absolutely buy it if they went so far as to try to remake the original Metal Gears, which would require a lot more work because they are Nintendo games. But I would buy this version of those games. So Konami has, much like Capcom did with Resident Evil, a way to make money remaking the games that basically put them on the map, made them famous in certain corners of the internet world or in the video gaming world. And I hope that they continue with this project because to me, Metal Gear Solid Delta, despite a little bit of framiness on the PlayStation 5 Pro, that exists, but it doesn't actually change your video game experience so much, is an excellent thing that I'm excited to play more of when I'm not playing Monster Train. So Metal Gear Solid Delta, great. Story Seasons Grand Bazaar, great. Lost Soul aside, I also played Shinobi Art of Vengeance. That thing is awesome. I cannot speak highly enough about this little 2D gaming masterpiece that Sega released on us. Now, if you just played Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, you're going to find some similarities with your village being burned at the beginning and military factions coming in and calling in demons and all this other stuff. It is surprising how close in plot Ninja Gaiden Ragebound and Shinobi Art of Vengeance actually are.
That is the only plot in Ninja games, honestly, because that's the exact
same.
Surprising. Trek to Yomi's like that too. Like it's always like your village gets burned down at the beginning, and you're like,
it is a very popular theme.
That's the move. So yeah,
but it's gorgeous.
It's gonna do. Oh,
it's gorgeous. It plays awesome. It is a different playing game than Ninja Gaiden. And so I wanted to mention that one, and then Chip and Claws, which Travis just mentioned.
One sec, Hogue.
Yeah.
Stay on Shinobi for 1 second.
Yeah,
as I understand it, I haven't gotten to it yet because I just haven't. I'm working on a review as well. But I've heard great things. Jokes aside, to Googleman's chat at Summer Game Fest, anyone who knows our good friend Cog over at Iron Lords knows he's a Shinobi
Shout out
fanatic.
To Cog.
Yeah. I sat and had lunch with him after he played this, and I swear he had tears in his eyes. He liked it that much.
That does not surprise me at all.
It's fantastic. It is super crunchy. Like it has all like the slowdowns on hits and is gorgeous with the art that they've chosen to use here. Art of Vengeance is a great subtitle for this game. And I love it to death. I am not Cog. I don't have this history with Shinobi that he does. Shinobi was always kind of the off-brand Ninja Gaiden to me way back in the day.
Watch your mouth, sir.
Well, it just was in my head, right? I played the Ninja Gaiden games. And Shinobi was like that weird Genesis ninja. That was how I thought of it.
Yeah, it was the Sega brand, which was the minority, so there's a reason for that. But what I have heard about this from my friends playing it is this is actually a roguelike, or roguelike, which is different from Ninja Gaiden. Not a roguelike, I'm sorry.
A Metroidvania.
Metroidvania, thank you. Yeah. Yes, that's what I meant to say.
I was thinking, I was like,
it's a Souls-like.
Don't start, which is actually different from Ninja Gaiden, which is obviously a throwback to the classic 2D action game, right? So I think there's obviously room for both because they're supposed to be great, but this is definitely very highly regarded, and I would recommend it to anyone because everyone I've talked to who's played this game has raved about it.
Shinobi is a Metroidvania type game. What I love about it is it's a Metroidvania that is constricted by its levels. So it's not this huge giant Metroid Dread thing. I have to figure out the 40 things I did to get back to point A to do the thing now. It's all very kind of contained in what is directly in front of you. So I really like that about this game. I will say, just like Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, it's demanding on the old left hand. It may be a little less so insofar as it is more combo based and it is more kind of engaging in tactical fighting more than Ninja Gaiden, which is really, if that dart hits you, you're going to go flying down this pit and you're never going to be seen again. And if you make that jump wrong, you're just dead. It's less of that. It's more combat, but it's really, really excellent. Like anybody who's remotely interested in this should have already bought it by now. But if you're not convinced yet, buy it after the show. You will not regret buying Shinobi. It is great.
I'm going to buy it. Even though I don't have time to play it, I'm going to buy it just to support this type of game that I will play later. So, yeah.
One last thing, Ames, somebody in the comments mentioned Path of Exile 2, which got a big update this week.
Katie Cotton. Shout out to Katie.
Yeah. I wanted to mention IGN did have me preview this before it came out, and we did not cover it. There just wasn't enough bandwidth with everything going on at Gamescom. But we are going to be doing a review update, and I'm going to be working on that. So I'm going to be replaying with a new character through all of that right after I finish up my current review, and we're going to do some kind of like update article that I'll write as quick as I can. But I'm going to be late on that one because we're at the busiest part of the year for IGN, which is end of August, all the way to the end of September. I'm gonna be real busy. So playing that next on the list, but I have not played it myself, but I did do a preview event and saw a lot of the content and updates that they've done. So I'm very excited to jump back in.
Yeah, we were talking about this last night, and was invited because remember you and I both covered the game at launch, and I was invited to the preview event. I was in the UK during the preview event, so I missed it, and same thing. It's just time. So I want to go back and check this out, but I don't know when I'm going to get to it. But I would. We'll see what you think of it when you jump in, because I haven't talked to enough people playing it to really have an opinion or understand where it's at. So
the last thing I just wanted to mention, I wanted to back up Travis on Chipping Claws, and then we can move on to the main topic. Chipping Claws, terrible name for the game, but if you're at all interested in this after I talk about it, I remember it by remembering it's like Chippendale. It's like the Disney chipmunks.
Oh, okay,
Chipping Claws.
Clarify.
Just in terms of...
I love that that's where your mind went first, Danes. You're a man of refinement.
I had an interesting upbringing.
Yeah.
Very cool.
The Disney chipmunks, but if you're trying to remember what it is that we were talking about when you're later looking through the digital storefront or what have you, Chipping Claws versus the Brainioids is a strategy game with an action component that reminds me most of the game I loved last year, Kunitsugami. Now, Kunitsugami was focused a lot more on that action component. You really had to contribute a lot to winning those levels with your own sword. This is less of that. It's a little bit more perfunctory. You can do a little bit less in terms of defending your own positions, but you are in a cartoon world in a 3D platformer looking environment with ridiculous brains in jars attacking you while you build up little bases that make your own robots to fight against these aliens. It is a really, I think, smart design, and it's constantly engaging to look at and to play. I haven't gotten far enough in this game to tell you that it really ramps up into really interesting strategy. For the most part, it's melee versus melee and ranged versus ranged, and figuring out how to get the resources out of the map in order to build those things for yourself so far. But it definitely has the design space available to it to get really interesting. So I hope that it does, but it's also not a full price game. It's an excellently realized kind of vision for what it wants to be. And it's goofy, which is something I always like in these games. Yeah. So I love brains in jars.
It's goofy, it's fun, it's co-op, and it starts to get really surprisingly difficult and deep the longer you get into it. And so it kind of like lulls you into a sense of security with its like cartoonish look, and then you get into it and you're like, I'm actually sweating over this game. Like, this is hard. So it's very cool. But D and I have been playing that one, and it's very it's cool. There's nothing like it. And also the fact that it jumps between like top down real-time strategy and third person like action is a really cool kind of dynamic. So yeah, it's a cool game.
Very cool.
Yeah, I really like it.
Awesome. Well, obviously there's other games we can't talk about right now as usual. So and plenty more games coming out, which we'll get to next week. But what we're going to try to do, as I mentioned at the top of the show, is at the top of the hour. So 11 for me, noon Eastern, if you will, 9 Pacific, is to jump to our main topic. And so that'll vary obviously week to week, depending on what's kind of biggest in the news. But this week I wanted to touch on just remakes and remasters. There's been a lot of talk, and with us talking about the show this week, I didn't really want to have a guest because Alex had reached out, because Alex reviewed Metal Gear Solid Delta for us. And so he had some thoughts. He adores that game like you, Hogue. It's one of his favorite games of all time. And he gave it a pretty high score, but he also found some not nitpicks, but some aspects of it that in a remake sense, he didn't appreciate. I'm sure maybe you and he have talked about it.
We have.
And so, yeah. And so I wanted to bring that up from just a remakes and remaster conversation, because it feels like, honestly, remakes and remasters are becoming obviously prevalent, right, in the gaming industry over the last several years. We talk about them a lot. We talk about the difference between good and bad, and what some do well and some don't. Games that don't need remasters, Last of Us 2, I'm talking about you, and other games that are very old that get full blown remakes, like a Demon Souls type thing. So, or like Resident Evil 4 recently, the Resident Evils, which have been applauded, right, on the other end of the spectrum. So just wanted to touch on this, and you can circle back to Delta as an example, Hogue. So I don't know how far you are in this, but one of the things Alex called out is really around like there's some kind of cinematic, obviously Hideo Kojima game, right? So we joke about that enough here or talk about it enough. But there's some cinematic aspects and some things of it that he felt like the remake kind of I won't say dumbed down, but didn't maybe have the same impact. Now that could be for a number of reasons, right? It could be nostalgia, it could be age, it could be a ton of things. But he really appreciated the game and still loves it to death. But he just felt like there's some aspects of it that really the remake or remaster didn't necessarily need to be done or add to. So where are you at on Delta specifically?
I love this thing, but I am in total agreement with Alex on. So if you didn't play Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater, back in the day, the design of that game is very small maps that could be loaded into the systems at the time from a top-down perspective, like Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2 were. And this remake takes the same maps, takes the same like enemy encounters, and gives you over the shoulder as the way to play the game. And what happens in that design is that, honestly, it becomes a lot easier. One of the things that the game design of the original was using was that you couldn't quite see where the person was just off the screen because you're in this blimp view of what's happening. And if you're over the shoulder, when they walk across your eye line, you see them, right? That's just the way it works. And so the game overall is less taxing. It's a little bit less stressful because you can know with better acuity where everybody is. It doesn't bother me so much. And they did include a mode that allows you to play from the top-down perspective, but it uses different controls than it did back in the day. But this is exactly what I want from a remake project. I want the game that I loved basically brought up to how I remember loving it in whatever year we're talking about the remake happening in. So by the time you get over seeing the intro cinematics of the game and have gotten used to the new graphics, it just feels like you remember it feeling, even though it looks vastly better than it used to. And I don't want the Final Fantasy VII remake approach. I don't want you to reimagine what a remake means and to change the story of the thing that you are remaking in order to engage your creatives to make them happy about the project. Like, I don't want that out of this. I wanted Metal Gear Solid 3 again. That's what it is. And I agree with Alex as well that the way Hideo Kojima and his team tell this story is a little bit old school, right? This is Metal Gear Solid 3. So you can see the difference in how he has made his action scenes and made the story that he wants to tell more engaging to the players in Death Stranding 2, right? We have essentially two Hideo Kojima games that released within a month of each other because Kojima didn't work on this remake, but it's still his baby. It's still his story because they didn't change that. So you can see how much better he is at making sure that you don't just sit back for a 15-minute lecture on the Cold War and the nuclear aspirations of the participants in the Cold War, because that's not a terribly great way to experience a video game story, even though the end result of Snake Eater is perhaps the best spy story, maybe in any media, but at least in fictional spy story land, in video games, right? Like, this is a tremendous story of character motivations and legacy and backstabbing and triple stabbing and all these various other things that happen in Snake Eater. And by the time you get to the credits of Snake Eater, you have experienced the full breadth of what this storytelling team can offer. But I have to say, even as someone that loves narrative and story in video games, when you are starting this thing up and you're in the prelude mission that begins before Operation Snake Eater, there are such long cutscenes of watching stock footage of things that I still love the story, but it was jarring to me to be like, yeah, this is what he does, but this isn't what he has done for many, many years. So I'm glad it's preserved. I actually wish they maybe used a little bit more AI sharpening on the old footage that went into these movies. It appears like they were just brought in direct for this purpose. But overall, I think this project is fantastic. This is what I want as a seasoned gamer. I want you to bring it into a new engine, the same game that I played before. And yeah, if you want to try a different camera angle, great. I think that you could have designed things differently to maybe try to emulate the feeling of the old design, but I'd prefer it if you don't try, if you don't really believe in your abilities to do that. So this works for me. I have the option of playing in legacy mode if I want to. The over-the-shoulder mode looks cool. It doesn't have that same kind of swampy gray-green visual effect of Snake Eater, so that's missing a little bit, but I think they also have an image filter that I haven't set yet that can give you more of that approach if you want it. So this is the best of both worlds to me. This is bringing it up to speed, letting you hit all the buttons to take it to somewhat similar of an experience you had before if you want to do that, but otherwise experiencing things in a modern environment. I wouldn't want them to cut apart the storytelling or the narrative, so here we are.
Yeah. So, Alex is in chat too, and I'm looking at his review here on my screen. The one thing he says, which you kind of commented on already, but you have this updated kind of viewpoint or way to play it. And here, I'm going to just read this from Alex's review because I want to get your thoughts on it. I haven't played it, but he said, talking about kind of the new way to play, the new camera angle. But here's the rub. He said the levels, the patrols, the AI are still calibrated for 2004, which means the shiny new control scheme sometimes steamrolls the old design. Guards drop too quickly, stealth sequences lose their tension, scenarios become trivial because you've brought Metal Gear Solid 5's toolkit into PS2 era arenas.
That's right.
Is that fair?
He is right on that.
Okay. So I think that's a kind of a good segue into exactly what you said, commentary wise, of like when you're remaking a project, especially my feelings aside of Kojima games, this is a seminal release, right? Delta. So you think about like how beloved this game is, even within the Metal Gear franchise. Remaking it is a challenge. So if I heard you correctly, can you still play this with the classic scheme?
It's not the classic control scheme. You can set the camera to emulate the old camera.
Does it do it well?
Yeah, it does it fine. I mean, they're very small arenas. One of the things that Alex said in his review, which is correct, is that these are tiny maps in the land of 2025.
Yes.
And so you're in these stealth sections. You're dealing with enemies, and there's only so many places for them to go. Right? This is not Metal Gear Solid 5. This is not even Death Stranding 2, which it basically emulates Metal Gear Solid 5 as the approach to stealth. So you do get a little bit of, I am playing an old game. This is clearly not a modern design, even top down. So that's fine with me, again, because I don't want it to be a different game at the end of the day. But it is certainly not up to what you would expect if you also bought Death Stranding 2 in the same time period.
Yeah. It's interesting. Because, thinking about Gears, and then I was thinking about this conversation in terms of like what remakes really stand out to me. And you mentioned Final Fantasy VII, which, again, not my favorite game in the world, but it's beloved. It's considered by many to be one of the greatest games of all time. Final Fantasy VII, the original, and the remake is pretty beloved as well, right? Critically and seemingly with the Final Fantasy audience.
I like them, but they are not Final Fantasy VII.
That's what I was going to say. So I think that may be on the other end of the pendulum of like a complete reimagining and rebuild of what even the core of the original game was. And I don't know, have we seen something similar to that vein as broad as Final Fantasy, what they're doing with Final Fantasy VII? I was trying to think of something like that. I'm not.
Well, there's classic remakes like I don't know if you count them though, because they're not telling like the same story. I guess Final Fantasy VII isn't either though.
Final Fantasy VII has found itself in a weird spot where they are basically required to tell the same story, but also simultaneously not.
Yeah,
the project is weird.
The example I was going to use is like a proper reboot, like Lords of the Fallen versus the Lords of the Fallen we were talking about recently,
or Prey and Prey, which are
Prey
completely
and Prey,
games.
right? Those are different games, but they are kind of.
I think Gentle Stone in the chat has the right answer here. The Silent Hill 2 remake is pretty different from Silent Hill 2. And I think it turned out pretty well, but it's pretty different in a lot of important respects.
Like a remake in movies, they're going to change the story. That's just accepted. In games, we have this weird definition where like a remake has to have like 90% in common, and that's not what you would call a remake in other mediums. You know what I mean? Like
right.
The Mummy was remade multiple times, and they're completely
with the only conceit being that there's a mummy.
Yeah, exactly.
In Movie Land, there's that one version of Psycho that is a line-for-line remake, and it's the weirdest thing you've ever seen. It's like, no, don't do that, movie makers. Nope.
Yeah. So I'm of the opinion that like any game that changes, I'm on like the more like conservative side of what counts as a remake. Like it, or is it conservative? I don't know. If you change like if you run like a new engine and you're like changing mechanics even a little, I think that should count as a remake personally. But I get that people usually when they're talking about remakes in the games industry, they're talking about like you're reimagining stuff, you're changing parts of the story, like it's kind of a different game versus a remaster. I kind of disagree with that definition. To me, a remaster is like you make the game run better and that's it. And then
I think of things like the Age of Empires 2 games, like that we can play right now.
Gears
Those are
Reloaded.
remasters.
Gears Reloaded is a remaster. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Versus a remake where it's like, all right, well, we're going to try to tell kind of the same vibe or story, but we're going to like take some liberties because we don't want our game to be beholden to the original. And I would put this in that category as well.
So, Alex brings up, I think one of the more popular modern ones are the Resident Evil remakes, right? So you've got 2, 3, and now 4, right? And we'll see what else we get. I think they're an interesting one to me because they do generally tell the same story, the same setup, the same environments. They do take some liberties though, right? They add some parts that aren't in the originals and they change some things here and there, especially from what I've seen comparisons wise. 4, I didn't play the original 4. We've talked about that, but I've finished the remake and I've gone back and looked at some comparison videos and there definitely are different things there too. So I think they kind of walk that weird line of
it's not just story for me. Like the game mechanics are so different in those games. I would call them a remake from point A. You know what I mean? Resident Evil 2 remake plays so much differently. Resident Evil 2, it's just a remake in my opinion.
3 is the one I think of as the most different. 4 has the advantage of being over the shoulder already, so a lot of the feel of 4 kind of survives the transition.
It does, but it's. I mean, you're not playing with a single joystick.
Yeah,
so that's alone on. Yeah, it's very different. Yeah, it's a very different.
Go back to playing 4 now. That's tough.
Yeah, I mean it works on VR.
Yeah, that's fair.
You only need one stick there because you're.
But then we get like Demon Souls, and they call that a remake. Where really Blue Point they purposely came out and said we don't want to change the mechanics. That plays like Demon Souls, right? It just looks extremely pretty. So the mechanics, like even from what I've read, and anyone can correct me if I'm wrong here, but when I've read, even the what do you call it? Oh my god.
Yeah,
the iframes. The iframes are the same as the original.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean that might be a remaster then, if it literally is just changing the
and it's stunning. Like
it's visually gorgeous.
It blows the original way in every aspect.
They called that one a remake, didn't they? It was not a remaster.
I mean, it doesn't have a name at all, right? It's just Demon Souls. Do they?
That's a good point.
I'm pretty sure they call it a remake, but I'll double check.
They probably called it a remake in press, but it's not on the box or whatever.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, Delta at least like they changed the name, right?
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah.
It's interesting.
But there's so many of them nowadays that it's like I guess like what really brought this up for me was obviously Alex talking about Delta and our review of Delta and that being a big topic this week, but also Gears coming back and being on PlayStation, which I think is awesome, right? Like I'm very much of put all these IPs everywhere, let people play them. But like playing through Gears again was like, was this outside of getting it on a new platform, which I fully understand, and a new audience, right? It's a money play. Was this really needed? And I think we've joked a lot. Everyone's joked about Last of Us ad nauseum of this point of like the other end of the pendulum, which is this was completely unnecessary from a Last of Us 2 in particular perspective.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
I'll be honest. I don't think really any of them are necessary in my opinion. Like I know Hogue is probably on the other side of like, yeah, make them. We like those games. I'm really like, unless it is strictly,
I like remakes.
Unless it's strictly for game preservation, I would rather you just work on something different. I feel like a lot of them feel like cash grabs. I can already play them. I don't mind playing them on older systems if they're still available, or I don't, the graphics don't really affect me too much. So I'm sort of I'll skip like 99% of remakes, remasters.
Well,
if I
let me
can.
say
I just
this
don't care about
as
them.
an additional point of conversation here. One of the things that I like about Delta and Final Fantasy VII Remake is that the originals are very accessible. You can go play Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater high definition right now. High definition is technically a different game. That is a full-on just remaster of what the original Snake Eater was. If you want to go play Snake Eater as it was, you can play that instead of Delta right this second. If that exists in your ecosystem, I am much more gentle about my criticisms of whatever you want to change in the remake, right? Delta being over the shoulder definitely changes important parts of the way the game plays. Absolutely agree with Alex's use of the term trivializes, because there are instances that I remember being very, very difficult where I just plinked a couple of people in the head with the tranquilizer gun and you move on in the new one. And that's going to take away certain amounts of the tension. And Hideo Kojima, for whatever else you want to talk about him with respect to, was very good at kind of matching up what he's asking the player to do with the tension that he's trying to ratchet up in the narrative. There's definitely at least a minor disconnect there in Delta. But if I want that old experience, they've given me a lot of buttons to try to emulate it, and I can just go play the original. And so I like that Delta exists.
I mean, it's probably not a fair assessment to say I'd rather have them work on other stuff. It's not the same people, not the same assets, but I still do feel that way.
Not the same
I get that.
work,
I'm just not sure Konami would be in games at all if they weren't trying this cash play.
Yeah,
exactly. And there's some to keep it alive, and there's some business stuff to that. It's just, for me, is that the thing that excites me? No. Is it the thing I want the industry to be focused on? Absolutely not. Is the way I want to spend my game time? No way. I would much rather play the 15 games on my backlog that are completely new stories, fresh ideas, aren't beholden to the past. Like, I've played those games. I don't need
But
to
the
play
fresh
them
ideas are sometimes lost soul aside, and I'm so glad that I can wash that out of my mouth with Metal Gear
But
Solid
here's
Delta.
the thing about the fresh ideas is that's the beauty of it, right? Sometimes you take risks and sometimes you fail, but the joy is in the risk.
I agree with you, Travis. I'm in agreement here. I'm just saying that sometimes the risk doesn't pay off, and sometimes you're like, oh God, I need something to wash that taste out.
To be fair to Hogue, he's the one who bought it.
I did. I spent money on it. American dollars.
Sometimes the risk doesn't pay off, and we call those Travis reviewed games, don't we?
Probably. But yeah, no, I'm enjoying the heck out of Delta. Part of it is nostalgia. Part of it is like, oh man, Metal Gear. I forget how much I love you as a series. And so it pops back in with what I consider to be its second strongest entry in Metal Gear Solid 3. And I am super excited to play through it again. Right. And that's, you go down, you sit in front of your PlayStation, you're like, what am I going to play? Oh, yeah, I got Delta. This is going to be awesome. Let's go spy some stuff. Honestly, spying is one of those areas, as a brief aside here, that I think video games have dropped the ball on. Like, they are so ready for video game stories and video game mechanisms to tell spy stories. And we should be doing it more. So come on, people. You dropped the ball on Splinter Cell.
Look,
Metal Gear is over.
I'm an Alpha Protocol apologist, so I could not agree with this more.
Yeah, Alpha Protocol.
It's a perfect
Alpha
medium.
Protocol, underrated.
That's a remake that's needed. Alpha Protocol. Go save Alpha Protocol, Obsidian. Go save Alpha Protocol.
I would be down with remaking bad games.
Or games that had a great kernel that just missed because of time or whatever. Alpha Protocol just didn't come together the way it should have.
We lost another one with what is Perfect Dark. That's a spy game gone down the tubes. Spy games have a just terrible.
I'm so mad about that one.
I know it looks so good, but I probably
I've learned like what happened of some. Obviously, I don't know everything that happened, but I know some of the detail of what was shown and like what that was and stuff. I'm so mad. What a joke.
Is it not real?
So fresh.
It was not real.
Vaporware.
It wasn't real.
It looked vaporware, but you never know. I was like, wow,
like
this is
you're
crazy.
killing me. You're killing.
I mean, in that case, maybe Xbox made like a good decision. Like, let's just kill this. It's not.
It probably was the right business decision, but still, like, don't.
And you saw Crystal Dynamics took the brunt there. They announced some layoffs this week.
Yeah,
they did.
That's going to happen.
But on the remake conversation, I think we can sum it up as this: Hogue says, "Go play Rebirth." Did I get that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I mean, Rebirth never really connected with me like I'd hoped, and I believe my review of Rebirth was, you've made me rethink whether I ever liked Final Fantasy VII in the first place. So not the most successful project for me personally, but a lot of people love it.
A lot of people do love it. A lot of people are I don't mean this in a bad way. It's going to sound bad, but they're kind of like simps for that stuff. Like with Final Fantasy, these remakes and stuff, it's like they're going to put something in front of it that has characters and the music they know and love, and they're just going to love it regardless. They're going to find a way to love it, and that's fine, right?
I love
what you love.
I love the sentence. I don't mean this in a bad way, but they're simps.
You're saying
I don't mean this in a bad way, but you're an idiot, Ains. You know?
No, dude, I'm the same way. You can put certain game types in front of me or IPs in front of me, and I'm gonna find a way to love it. It's we all have those. We all have those. I joke with Alex about it because he jokes about himself about it when certain games like Final Fantasy VII Remake, like I know he's gonna love it.
He's definitely a simp. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean,
Alex adores Final Fantasy. Alex and I have talked about Rebirth plenty.
His love for Final Fantasy VII has blinded him to its many faults.
I feel like I thought these things and they came out of Travis's mouth. I don't know what to say.
No, I think I told you, Hogue, that I did not finish that game because I was like, I can't do
the middle of that game makes you question why you arrived at this point in your life.
I was like, I cannot believe they are trying to call this the same game I played 20 years ago. This is not a remake. This is just a different game. And
as it turns out, you can't blow 10 hours of an RPG out into a 100-hour game and expect it to stand on its own. Except that you can with certain people on the internet because they're like, well, that's what happens during that 10 hours. Great. Well, then the job was to fix it.
Yeah, we learned this with Peter Jackson's Hobbit trilogy. Hogue.
A little bit.
And I thought we would leave it there and move on, but no, here we are again.
Rebirth reminds me so much of The Hobbit, actually.
It really is similar. So exactly the vibes I got. I was like, yeah, this is just like the War of the Five Armies. Like, I'm upset. This is too much movie. Yeah.
I'm upset. Got a couple things to shout out real quick. So shout out to our good friend Chris Games 93 for becoming an SG member. Thank you, Chris. Good to see you, my friend.
Is he a
Hope
good
you're
friend?
doing well.
Okay.
Yeah, I've talked to him quite a bit.
Nice.
And we're
He's 31 years old.
Yes, I do know who that is. Thank you.
I mean, sometimes it's just a polite thing to say somebody's your good friend, but I know you actually knew him, so that's cool.
Travis, do you always assume that the number in the name is the birth year? Is that
that
you're always
93? I'm going to say he's 31 years old.
That's probably accurate. I think that's right. Yeah. In this case. Super chat from Mr. Don Lionheart, which is going to be a fun one.
Don Lionheart, $5 super chat. Good afternoon, BC brothers. Really enjoying Lost Souls aside, except the voice acting. Oof. Never played a Metal Gear game. Is Delta a good place to start?
Don, I'd ask you to go back to the beginning of the show for thoughts on all these things, but also I'm glad you're enjoying Lost Soul aside.
I'm not.
That voice acting, my God. Delta is an excellent place to start the Metal Gear Solid series.
And it is the first game canonically, is it not?
It is absolutely the first game in the timeline.
Yeah, it's also just it's one of the Metal Gear games that you least have to understand what's going on. There's no twin brothers.
Well,
there are actually. I just realized I was referencing what's the one what game is it where he goes, "Dear brother"? Do you guys remember that? Is that 2? Is that
4?
No, the one with never mind. We have to end the show soon. I can't get into Metal Gear lore.
In any event, there are some good twists and turns.
There are, yeah. I retract my statement. I forgot about Konami storylines.
Between his Mind's Eye review and now really enjoying Lost Soul aside, I'm starting to worry that Don hasn't found a game that he doesn't like. We're going to have to readjust this.
Look, I've given my piece on Lost Soul aside, but I do think if you can just get into shiny sword swings, like there probably is a game that you might be able to enjoy in there, but with no motivation, terrible voice acting, ridiculous story beats, and horrible translation.
Don, I would just say it's in the title. You lost soul.
I actually, the joke I had, which I couldn't quite figure out how to tweet properly, is that it really does feel like other than that, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln, of titles? Lost Soul aside, this game is great.
Yeah.
Nice. Well played. Don, thank you for the super chat as always. Glad you're enjoying it regardless. I mean, enjoy what you play,
Yeah.
So thank you for the super chat. Hogue, we're going to be closing out here soon. You briefly wanted to mention, I'm not familiar with this as usual because I'm not paying attention to this, but you said Blizzard Turtle lawsuit. You want to give a minute on this one?
Oh, I don't even think I have a minute to give because this might be a virtual legality. I probably go through the lawsuit, but Suffice it to say, Blizzard has sued one of the private server companies, Turtle WoW, that provides the ability to access classic versions of World of Warcraft. And they've sued them for a bunch of things. The one that jumped out, the reason I even flagged it as a potential virtual legality, is the last thing they sue this company for is RICO violations, which, if you don't know, is the racketeering law in the United States. It's essentially what was used by the federal government to arrest gangsters and things. It is one that gets attached a lot in social media because it basically says it's a crime to be involved in thinking about crime. And so social media people love that one and like to say everything's a RICO violation. It's unusual to see it in an actual filed lawsuit from a major company. So it would surprise me if that's anything real. One of the things you do in a complaint document is throw everything at the wall and see exactly what works. And that appears to be what's happening here. But it is no surprise to me that a company that's going out there monetizing access to another company's completely owned intellectual property eventually gets called upon by the lawyers. So there are a lot of people out there that have various thoughts about what Blizzard did here and what Turtle WoW has done here. But suffice it to say, the very short version of what might be a virtual legality episode in the future is it is 100% understandable why a Blizzard would act against something like this, especially if that company is being noisy about trying to get in customers and monetize their access.
Okay. Yeah, I hadn't heard about that, so that's certainly interesting.
In my neck of the woods, I get pinged on by a lot of people about weird stuff in video games. This one, a lot of people did ask me about.
Okay. All right. Well, we're coming up, as Travis alluded to, we're coming up on a very, very busy time of the year. We've talked about this a little bit, but just between now as we record and next week's show, we have Hollow Knight Silksong is actually releasing here in a few days on September 4th. On the same day, on the same day we get Hell Is Us.
Okay.
What?
Sorry, I missed the first game.
Hollow Knight.
Hollow Knight. Got it. Okay.
On September 4th, same day we get Hell Is Us, which is another one people are anticipating. Funny enough, one of my good buddies literally received his physical copy last week. They sent it out like 2 weeks early. I have no idea why, so he's been playing it. Indiana Jones and the Order of the Giants expansion, same day. And then the very next day, September 5th, we get Chronos: The New Dawn. And Everybody's Golf Hot Shots, which that title still drives me crazy because it's like they took both the titles from Region.
They did.
And threw it together. But so we'll be talking about some of those games next week, of course. I briefly want to mention as we start to close out this controller, which is, well, it's easier to see the box, I guess. Razer sent me the newest kind of competitive controller they're making. It's the Wolverine Pro. So those who follow the channel know I review a lot of competitive controllers. I've reviewed the Wolverine version 3 Pro. This is the new one that is dedicated for PC. It is a made to be competitive. So it's got no vibration. It's got no mic input. It's light. It's got TMR thumbsticks, which are electromagnetic, better than Hall effect sticks. Everything's mouse click. It is very, very nice. So I will be doing a full review on this on the channel this week. I've been using it for the past 2 weeks since I got home. It is, quite frankly, excellent. It's creeping up on my favorite controller list of all time. It's that good. So I will review this in more detail from a competitive standpoint here this week. So look for that video on the channel as well. Other than that, we have another review going up probably tomorrow, actually, of One-Eyed Liko, which is a first-person horror game, which Ray was checking out for us. So if you're in the horror genre and you like those types of games, you can check that out. And, of course, like we said, a bunch of coverage on these upcoming games, including, I believe, Alex is reviewing Hot Shots, Everybody's Golf. So we'll have that as well.
Love that series.
Me too. I love Hot Shots. I'm trying to figure out how the hell I'm even going to play it. But luckily with Hot Shots, it's one of those games you can just kind of play for fun when you have
I was going to say, you don't need to remember the deep lore. So
no. So that'll be fun. And I've heard very good things about Chronos. I do know someone who's already finished it and was reviewing it. I don't know what the embargo is, so I can't say anymore. But
yeah, I was starting to get those vibes as well. I was seeing little whispers of Chronos really coming together for some people. So I hope so. Like I said, I've never been a big fan of Bloober, but Silent Hill 2 was, I thought, their best effort. And if this continues to go in that direction, that'll be great. I love time travel stories. Let's do it, Bloober. You can get me on board if you knock Chronos out of the park. Let's do it.
Hogue, anything you want to shout out?
No, actually, as I said at the top of the show, Last week's show actually knocked me out pretty good, and I had some work happen on the law side, so I didn't actually make any content this last week, even though I had been trying to do 2 videos a week on my own channel. So basically went into hibernation and hiding for this week, but I'm glad to be back. I feel energized by hopefully this new format for the Bitcast, and I can survive this next coming couple of days better than I did last week. So everybody that's watching and listening, I really appreciate you all being accommodating of my energy needs and trying to have a show that's a little bit more workable for me. And I hope it continues to be into the future.
Nice. Travis, I know review is a little ways out on the game, but what else?
I got
else
nothing.
Got out? Nothing?
Nope.
Okay. Well, like we said, a lot of big games coming out, a lot of coverage across everywhere. Obviously, Travis is working on stuff, SG's working on stuff, and we'll talk a lot more next week about these new releases. Going to be really interesting to see where Silksong lands after all this expectation and hype. I hope it lives up to what people wanted out of that game.
It can't live up to the hype that people actually have for this thing. It can be
Maybe.
good, but the hype is
going to be great. But
There's always a chance, Hogue. Always a chance.
Yeah, the hype is through the roof. I mean, it's ridiculous. So I'm excited to check it out, though. So everyone, thank you as always for hanging out with us. As Hogue said, I appreciate you guys and the audience always tuning in and hanging out with us, being generous, and hope give us some feedback on anything else you'd like us to talk about or kind of adjust in our newer condensed format here. But otherwise, hope you have a great week of gaming. It's going to be a hell of a week for releases, and we will see you next Sunday. Until then, peace.